In 1989, a massive ecological disaster struck the small fishing community of Valdez, Alaska. The Exxon Valdez oil spill impacted the town in a number of ways. An oil tanker called the Exxon Valdez was navigating its way out of port when it ran aground on Bligh Reef, spilling more than 11 million gallons of crude oil into the pristine waters of Prince William Sound. How did such a disaster like this occur? How did it impact the town so hard? How can we prevent this from happening again? All these questions will be answered as I walk you through the Exxon Valdez oil spill. A massive spill like this required massive cleanup efforts. Almost overnight, the community of 4,000 doubled in size. Resident John Boone said it made this a big booming town for several months here because the population went from under 4,000 to 15,000 in just a few weeks. People came from all over to help the cleanup process, whether it was spraying down beaches, rescuing oil-soaked sea animals, providing transportation to and from beaches in the Sound by the use of privately owned boats, usually used for fishing. This influx of people created a need for goods and services the community had to step up to provide. My grandmother, Sheila Marsh, became a business owner for the first time when she opened a bed and breakfast for the workers to stay, sometimes for long periods of time. But not everyone had a place to stay. Some people who came and brought tents, ground pads, sleeping bags, and other supplies. Unfortunately, some people did not bring enough and would steal from others. Our tiny police station's phones were ringing off and on.
To be honest, there was a lot of people that came to town that weren't really making good decisions. They didn't have jobs before they got here, and there was a lot of theft and a lot of fighting. Some of that happened just because we had so many people living so close together.
The grocery stores and hardware stores were overwhelmed with the need for food and supplies. As retired Valdez Police Chief Bill Comer said, "You have 150 students in this school. What would happen if that doubled to 450 students or 500 students? This influx of people caused stores to lose a lot of stock and would have to get more trucks and more supplies. Although this may have seemed bad at the beginning, once they figured out the supply problem, the stores got a boom in money."
Harris Sand and Gravel and South Central Hardware both, were providing material to support the spill, and their inventory increased greatly. They basically tried to get as much stuff as they could to sell. The supermarkets were jammed. They were selling 2 or 3 times what they normally would.
My point is, it was not only the animals that were affected by the spill. Also, the community was hit hard. Whether it was loss of housing, having to provide housing, the rise in crime, or the lack of supplies that affected our small town in unimaginable ways. Now, you may be thinking, well, how can we prevent this from happening again? We can't, but at least we learned from our mistakes. Resident Randy Bell said, "Now we are ready."